Brothers and sisters in Christ, we continue reading from the Paterikon of the Kiev Caves Monastery, Discourse 12 and 13. Starting with Discourse 12. The first holy and blessed monks of the Caves Monastery, who shone forth in godly virtues in the house of the most pure Mother of God, in the Holy Caves Monastery, in fasting, vigil, and the gift of prophecy. A most remarkable miracle was in truth to be seen, brethren, in that the Lord gathered together such monks as these in the dwelling of his mother. They shone in the land of Rus like bright lights, some in fasting, others in vigils, yet others in making prostrations. Some fasted throughout the day for 2 days. Some ate bread and water, others ate cooked vegetables, and yet others ate raw food. They all dwelt together in love. The younger ones submitted to their seniors, and did not venture to speak in front of them, but did everything with great obedience and meekness. Likewise, the seniors showed love towards the younger ones, instructing them and comforting them like their beloved children. If any brother fell into some transgression, they comforted him, and out of their great love 3 or 4 would share the penance of this one man. Such was the divine love, self-denial, and meekness in that holy brotherhood. And if a brother left the monastery, all the brethren would be sad on his account, and would send after him, calling him to come back to the monastery. And when that brother did return, they would go to the superior and prostrate themselves on his behalf, and beg the superior to take him back. For their part, they joyfully received the brother back into the monastery. Such were the monks at that time, fasters and ascetics. I will now mention some of these remarkable men. First, there was a presbyter named Damian. He fasted to such an extent that until the day of his death he ate nothing but bread and water. And whenever anyone brought in a child with some illness, people would bring the child to the monastery to the Venerable Theodosius, who would order Damian to say a prayer over the sick person. He at once would do so and anoint him with holy oil, and those who came to him were healed. Once, when the blessed Damian had fallen ill and was on the verge of death, lying helpless, an angel came to him in the form of Theodosius, and promised him the kingdom of heaven as a reward for his labors. Afterwards, the great Theodosius came to him with the brethren and sat beside him. He was still very weak. He looked to the superior and said, "Father, do not forget what you promised me tonight." The great Theodosius realized that he had seen a vision, and said to him, "Brother Damian, what I promised you will come to pass." Damian then closed his eyes and gave up his soul into the hands of God. The superior and all the brethren buried his body with due solemnity. There was another brother called Iremej, who remembered the baptism of the land of Rus. He had received from God the gift of seeing what would come to pass. If he saw anyone lost in deep thought, he would reproach him privately and instruct him to be on his guard against the devil. If any brother was thinking of leaving the monastery, he would go to him, reprove his intentions, and comfort him. If he said anything to anyone, good or bad, the words of the elder were fulfilled. There was another elder named Nephite, who had the gift of discernment. Once, when he was standing in his place in the church, he raised his eyes, looked around among the brethren who were standing and singing on both sides, and he saw a demon walking around them, in the form of a pole, and carrying in his robe some flowers called lepki. He would take a flower from the fold of his garment and throw it at somebody. If the flower stuck to one of the brethren who was standing there, the brother would remain standing for a while, but then his will would weaken and he would make up some excuse, leave the church, go to sleep, and not return to the service. But if he threw it at another monk standing there and the flower did not stick to him, that brother would stand firm during the singing until matins were over. From then each would go to his own cell. The elder had the following habit. After matins had been sung and the brethren were dispersing to their cells, the blessed elder would leave the church last of all. Once, when he was on his way to his cell, he sat down under the board to rest, since his cell was a long way from the church, and he saw what looked like a large crowd coming out of the gates. He looked up and saw a demon sitting on a pig and swanking, and many others running around him. "Where are you going?" the elder said to him. "For Mixtail Tobolkovik," said the demon, sitting on the pig. The elder made the sign of the cross and went into his cell. When the day dawned, the elder realized the meaning of his vision, and said to his disciple, "Go and ask whether Mixtail is in his cell." And his disciple said, "He is not there now. He went outside the monastery's enclosure after matins." The elder related his vision to the superior and the senior brethren, and the superior summoned that brother and strengthened him. During the lifetime of the Venerable Matfej, the Blessed Superior Theodosius passed away, and Stephan became superior in his place, and Nikon after him, and this elder was still alive. He saw many other visions and departed to the Lord in peace in the Holy Caves Monastery. Discourse 13. The Blessed Nephite, formerly Bishop of Novgorod, how he saw the Holy Theodosius in the divine revelation in the Caves Monastery. The Blessed Nephite had been a monk in the Caves Monastery, emulating the Holy Fathers in the manner of his life. As a reward for his many virtues, he was appointed Bishop of Novgorod. He had great faith in and love for the most holy Theotokos and for Anthony and Theodosius, the venerable fathers of the Caves Monastery. As soon as he heard that the Metropolitan Constantine was coming to Rus, sent by the Economical Patriarch, he was filled with spiritual joy. He thought to himself that he could accomplish two things simultaneously. He could stay in the house of the most pure Theotokos and venerate the venerable ones, and receive a blessing from the Metropolitan. He therefore came to Kiev in the year 1156. While he was staying there, waiting for the Metropolitan's arrival, for he had been told that the Metropolitan was coming from Constantinople, Metropolitan Klim accepted the Metropolitan's throne without the blessing of the Patriarch of Constantinople. Klim urged the Blessed Bishop Nephite to celebrate the liturgy with him, but Nephite said, "Because you have not received a blessing from the Holy Economical Patriarch of Constantinople, I do not wish to serve with you, nor recall your name in the Holy Liturgy. But I will recall the name of the Holy Patriarch of Constantinople." Klim was very insistent and set against him Prince Iziaslav and his own supporters, but was unable to do him any harm. The Patriarch of Constantinople heard about Nephite and sent him a letter, blessing him for his depth of understanding and steadfastness, and adding his name to those of the saints of former times who had stood firm for orthodoxy. Nephite read the Patriarch's letter, and his attitude became even more firm and resolute. He was on an affectionate term with the Prince Slaslav Ulgovic, for Slaslav had previously resided in Novgorod. While the Blessed Bishop Nephite was staying in the Holy Cross Monastery, filled with great faith in the venerable ones, as had been mentioned, after a short time he fell ill, and related of remarkable visions. 3 days before my illness, he said, I was coming from matins. I rested for a little while, and immediately fell into a light sleep. And behold, I found myself in Tosa's place, in the church of the Caves Monastery, earnestly and tearfully praying to the most holy Theotokos, that I might see the venerable Father Theodosius. Many of the brethren were assembling in the church, and one of them came up to me and said to me, Do you want to see our holy Father Theodosius? I answered, Yes, very much. If you can, show him to me. He took me and led me to the altar, and there showed me the Holy Father Theodosius. I saw the Venerable One, ran up to him joyfully, and fell down at his feet and prostrated myself before him to the ground. He lifted me up, blessed me, embraced me, kissed me affectionately, and said, Welcome, my brother and son Nephite. From now on we shall never be parted. The Venerable One held a scroll in his hand, and I asked him to give it to me. I unrolled it and read it. At the beginning were written the following words, Behold, I and the children which God has given to me. After this I awoke, and now I know that this illness is a visitation from God. Nephite was ill for 13 days, and reposed in peace on April 8th in Holy Week. He was buried with due solemnity in Theodosius' cave, and so came to this beloved as the Venerable Theodosius had promised. His beloved as the Venerable Theodosius had promised. They stand together before the Mother of Christ, delighting in the indescribable beauties of heaven and praying for us, their children. Such were the remarkable men in the Holy Caves Monastery. Many of them shared in the work of the apostles and accepted their thrones as the content of this epistle reveals clearly to us.